Hello everyone. I strive to prevent things from falling apart and avoid chaos. When I noticed a shift in my wife's behavior, I took the initiative to address it. I inquired about her sudden withdrawal, lack of affection, and discomfort with my touch. Despite initial difficulty in breaking the communication barrier, she eventually confided in me, revealing heart-wrenching feelings of inadequacy. She expressed a sense of being overwhelmed with responsibilities and a feeling of not being supported by me. The revelation was incredibly painful, yet I refrained from engaging in conflict. I wholeheartedly love her and acknowledged her emotions. I assured her of my commitment to improving and reducing her stress. My utmost priority is to mend the relationship with the person I cherish the most. Although the journey ahead will undoubtedly be challenging despite my efforts, I find myself grappling with my own thoughts that disturb my sleep. This is what led me to seek support from this group. My wife's accusations against me don't align with my perspective. I consider myself a devoted husband striving to meet expectations. I work 8 hours away from home, and when I return, I immerse myself in caring for my boys. From playing with them to ensuring they are fed and attending swim lessons with the older one, I am fully engaged in their well-being. I am present for bedtime routines and willing to wake up during the night to attend to their needs. Beyond childcare, I manage household tasks such as dishes, groceries, and cleaning, although my wife believes I could be more efficient. In addition, I handle responsibilities concerning our new house and car. I undertake these responsibilities to ease her burden as I understand the challenges of managing 2 young children. Admittedly, I may not always be as proactive as she expects me to be. I've observed that my wife is having trouble with my approach. Despite our years of a harmonious marriage, when the kids have finally drifted off to sleep, work is completed, and the house is tidy, my anticipation grows for relaxing with a movie or playing video games. Unlike those entrepreneurial individuals who strive to establish their own businesses, I excel in excelling at tasks within my field. There is no shame in this, as many people share this preference. I'm not pursuing a flashy career or dreaming of immense wealth. I am simply an ordinary man. Although people have commented on my good looks, all I desire is a happy, healthy family and a modest living. While my father-in-law shares a similar mindset, I prefer to adhere to my own distinctive approach, and I believe this is perfectly acceptable. Ultimately, at the close of the day when the children are asleep, work is completed, and the house is in order, I am eager to relax with a movie or engage in some video games. Since December, I have been challenging myself to go outside of my natural tendencies. I have been going the extra mile with groceries, working on household projects, and hardly giving myself a moment to relax in the evenings. My hope was that she would appreciate my efforts, but her behavior towards me remained unchanged. Summoning up courage, I decided to confront her about our relationship with great emotion. I directly asked her if she wanted to work on saving our marriage. Her uncertain response of "I don't know" hit me hard. It was difficult to understand. Was she truly unsure or just indifferent? Despite feeling frustrated, I continued to push the conversation, asking her about her willingness to try marriage counseling. Once again, she frustratingly replied with "I don't know." This was too much to bear. Losing my temper, I emphasized to her the importance of making a decision at this critical point in our relationship. The thought of our children having divorced parents because of her lack of commitment was unacceptable. It was only after this that she finally agreed to seek help. After much persuasion, T finally agreed to attend therapy. Though she continued her typical behavior of not taking initiative, I took it upon myself to search for a therapist. During one of our counseling sessions, T revealed some painful truths. She confessed that she had only married me to please her family and fit into their ideal image of a perfect, happy family with beautiful children. She admitted that her feelings for me were not genuine and that she was more enticed by the concept of marriage itself. To worsen matters, I later found out that she had secretly met with her fellow priest to discuss our relationship, a betrayal that left me feeling enraged and wounded. Despite these challenges, I persisted and found a suitable therapist for both of us. As we approach our 3rd session, the journey hasn't been easy. We have discovered that we have different love languages. I crave physical touch while she places importance on accomplishing tasks. This mismatch has resulted in ongoing tensions, compounded by the fact that she hasn't shown me any physical affection since we recently started couples counseling, where the therapist was surprised to learn that my wife and I hadn't shared the same sleeping space for 6 months. My wife explained that she sleeps with the kids, leaving no room for me in the bed. The therapist expressed concern, stating that this arrangement sets a bad example for the children by excluding their father from the bedroom. She suggested that we purchase a single bed from IKEA to address the issue. I bought the bed and set it up, but I still feel isolated and lonely. In the new sleeping arrangement, my wife and children take up most of the space, leaving me feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. My wife has been changing her explanation for our situation, now attributing it to her feelings of depression and emotional distress. She has made hurtful comments in the past, but I have never treated her the same way no matter how upset I am. My wife has returned to work, and we have hired a nanny to care for the kids. The only noticeable difference is that we have been communicating more, but I feel that our relationship lacks intimacy and the situation doesn't seem likely to improve anytime soon. I have been the one taking the initiative to arrange our marriage counseling sessions, as my wife appears disinterested. Recently, my friends expressed suspicions that my wife might be cheating on me. Initially, I dismissed their concerns as if they were mere fiction, unable to imagine my wife engaging in such behaviors. However, today turned everything around, revealing an undeniable reality. I discovered her infidelity when I placed a voice-activated recorder in our car, not even a Jeep, and within just 3 days, she used the car to go to work and the gym, during which she had 2 phone conversations with another person. I am unsure who initiated the contactee overheard their entire video conversation on the phone, gathering all the evidence I require. The conversation was deeply personal, much like the intimate discussions my wife and I shared when we first met 9 years ago. Full of attraction, inside jokes, and nostalgia. It's been quite some time since we've had that connection. Shockingly, they were making plans for a vacation together, with my wife expressing a desire to visit him in July and giving him a 2-year window to move back to our country. The thought of it all was truly difficult to comprehend. Their discussions were detailed, even mentioning their favorite positions, indicating a close bond between them. After listening to the hour-long recording, I need time to process everything. A meeting with an attorney is necessary next week without a doubt. I owe appreciation to my friend for suggesting the voice recording device, as without it, I wouldn't have discovered the truth. I have placed a reading device in the car to monitor my wife's activities without her knowledge. I am not concerned about being judged for invading her privacy, as I strongly believe it is necessary given the suspicions I have about her behavior. I am filled with worry about my children and the changes I have noticed in her recently. I will be away taking care of my father for a week, during which time she will be using my home office. I fear she may use this opportunity to communicate with someone I suspect she should not be talking to. Should I place a recorder in the office for additional evidence, or do you think I already have enough incriminating information? Recently, I discovered my wife attempting to contact her ex-boyfriend multiple times, which has raised further doubts in my mind. These persistent phone calls to him began to drive me insane, prompting me to take action. I accessed her iMessages on her laptop, and was surprised to discover that, after repeatedly calling him, she even sent a message expressing her determination to get a response. Confronting her with the evidence, she initially denied it, only to be confronted with the undeniable outgoing call records. Reluctantly, she finally admitted to reaching out to her ex. When pressed about the nature of the calls, she maintained they were merely returned calls. However, her denial of sending a follow-up message was refuted when I presented the incriminating message she had sent. Her subsequent explanation involving a drunken call from him, her rebuke, and subsequent attempts to reconnect only deepened the complexity of the situation as it turns out he never responded to the message. The situation is quite complex, leaving me with a lingering feeling that something is amiss. I'm unsure how to process all of this. It began when she started to distance herself from me. From her perspective, keeping certain things from me is not unusual or negative. Despite that, the idea of any contact with an ex raises a red flag for me. It's simply not acceptable. I'm left wondering if she is being unfaithful. Our relationship has been lacking intimacy for the past half year, coinciding with these suspicious phone calls. Now, I have concrete evidence that the issues we are facing are not as she has portrayed them to others. The tricky part is that she is unaware of my knowledge, and neither her family nor friends are aware of the truth. They'd all believe we are just going through a rough patch. She comes from a Catholic family with 3 sisters, and she attends church every Sunday. We reside in a small town with a population of 177,000, and we recently constructed a home. Despite these factors, the situation remains uncertain. Realizing that my wife plans to ask me to leave, I discovered that her previous boyfriend will be moving to our small town to live with her, our 2 young sons, and me. She hopes people will understand her need for a father figure for the kids. Surprisingly, this ex-boyfriend is her first love, with whom she was in a long-term relationship before marrying me. Despite him living abroad, he frequently visits our country. I'd refused to be manipulated and have taken the step of hiring a lawyer. I'd also have incriminating recordings. However, after speaking with my attorney, I have decided to approach the divorce proceedings with caution. Considering our children and the need to co-parent for the next 15 years, I need to be mindful of the fact that my marriage has lasted 16 years. Additionally, I hold a lot of respect for my wife's family and do not wish to involve them as witnesses in the divorce proceedings. Winning custody of our young children is not feasible, as they need to be with their mother in the small town an hour away from me, where our current living situation is not ideal. I am unable to sell our house because the kids require a stable place to live, and we have no alternative arrangements in place. The temporary housing they are currently in belongs to my father-in-law. Following our discussion, the lawyer has prepared the divorce papers to be served shortly after Easter. Recently, I had a day off work and took care of our 1-year-old son while my wife commuted to work in the capital city. My brother assisted me in packing my belongings from the apartment and transporting them to a new location. In the midst of this, the postman delivered. The divorce papers, or rather an invitation to mediation, were handed to her so we could attempt to divide everything in a civilized manner and achieve an amicable divorce. The documents indicated that she is in a relationship with a specific individual, citing both his first and last name as the reason for the divorce. Nonetheless, having such evidence will work to my advantage, particularly concerning child support and other related matters. Upon her arrival at the house, I immediately confronted her and disclosed my knowledge of the situation. I presented indisputable evidence and expressed profound disappointment. I urged her to contact my lawyer and handed her the divorce papers before departing to visit her parents. Expectedly, she began questioning what I knew and how I found out, vehemently denying the allegations. While her parents were taken aback, they ultimately sided with my account. I meticulously recorded the entire conversation, following the guidance of my attorney. Initiating the discussion with her parents, I inquired about their perception of me as a devoted husband and father. Their response was favorable. That means she won't be able to use them as witnesses against me in court, just like I mentioned earlier. They believed me and understood the gravity of what she has done and how it has devastated our lives. I expressed my gratitude for their understanding and headed to the capital city. In the meantime, I reached out to a friend who helped spread the news to her circle of friends. So guess what? 2 hours later, my awesome brother-in-law called me and said that she confessed that she cheated on me with the AP, but she conveniently forgot to mention any closeness with him. Classic. My brother-in-law also filled me in on how everyone's on my side and how she single-handedly destroyed our once perfect family. Then he goes on to tell me that everything can be saved because, hey, he's cheated on his wife too, but she forgave him and now they're living happily ever after. Hilarious, right? Like that's going to make me feel better. Then to add to the circus, her father gives me a call and starts spouting off about Ho. It's frustrating that the blame is being placed solely on her, despite her apparent lack of awareness about her actions. He emphatically declares that the person she had an affair with will never be welcome in his home again, and that he's cutting off financial support for my soon-to-be ex-wife. He even attempted to call the third party, but received no response. In a strange turn of events, he then suggests that he believes the situation can be resolved. Adding to the confusion, her sister reaches out to express support for me, yet also holds out hope for reconciliation. While it's comforting to have their support, I can't fathom their optimism. The notion that this complex situation can be easily remedied seems far-fetched and exasperating. I am resolute in my belief that our relationship is beyond repair. There's a concern that others might question my decision, unaware of the concrete evidence in the form of a recorded tape that I possess, which solidifies my resolve to move on. She sent messages like, "Make sure you can last longer than 3 seconds when I visit you in Brussels. I wonder if your father has a size similar to yours. I might even ask that lady how big your brother is and compare it to you. I love you so much. I'm finally leaving my husband. It's about time. Please send me a video recording so I can see what I'm missing and give you a glimpse of your life without me. I'm giving you 2 years to figure out how to move back here." Update. As my friends predicted, my ex is making a comeback. After facing criticism from her family, she's been sending apologetic texts, admitting her mistakes and saying life would be unbearable without me. She eagerly awaits my return with the kids, apologizing sincerely for everything. However, it all seems, after my lawyer officially presented the divorce terms I desire, we are now awaiting a response. However, in the interim, I have been inundated with texts from my mother-in-law filled with Christian links on forgiveness, as she believes my wife may be influenced by an evil spirit. To add to the complexity, my sister-in-law has pointed a finger at me, accusing me of selfishness and being the one responsible for the marriage falling apart. This situation has caused my wife to become emotional and apologetic, expressing regrets and desires to turn back time. As a result, the narrative has shifted, and suddenly I find myself painted as the selfish villain who is perceived as the one destroying the marriage through the divorce initiative. Despite sensing this change in dynamics where her family may turn against me, the actuality was still shocking. There was a fleeting moment of guilt today, where it felt as though everything was my fault. They certainly know how to influence my emotions, but regardless of the pressure, my decisions remain firm. The divorce will proceed as planned, regardless of the circumstances. In the Czech Republic, it is common for children our age to reside with their mother post-divorce, which means I will not have custody of Themi ex-partner, and I live an hour away in a small town with our young children attending kindergarten and nursery. A 50-50 custody split is not possible given the distance. I will be a weekend dad, visiting every other weekend with additional access as needed. It's a difficult situation, but that's how it has to be. I've been considering a far-fetched idea of proposing a rekindling of our relationship, not out of love for her, but for the sake of the children. It wouldn't be a traditional marriage, just a practical arrangement with separate finances. However, it would require her to relocate to the capital city and for me to have strict monitoring of her whereabouts. In return, I would have the freedom to date other people and possibly even be unfaithful without her knowledge. This is just a fleeting thought, not a serious proposal, and I doubt I will act on it. I am feeling pressured by my family's accusations of neglecting the children, and I'm struggling to come up with a better solution. Currently, I am staying at my parents' place, sleeping in the living room. Such the dining table has become my makeshift office and entertainment center, with my clothes scattered around. I work from home for about 8 hours a day, and then help my elderly parents, aged 90 and 82, with chores, groceries, and driving to doctor appointments. To distract myself from negative thoughts, I hit the gym or catch a movie at the cinema. I get to see my kids every weekend, with my ex dropping them off and I drive them back. Just to clarify, I did a paternity test confirming that the boys are indeed mine. No confusion there. At least the whole situation with divorce terms is currently a mess, and it's tough to predict how it will unfold. Crashing at my parents' place leaves me with no other option as a dad of two and a grown adult. So I'm asking for a decent amount from my wife, and I want her to take over the mortgage for the house. She's agreed to the mortgage takeover but is offering only a third of the money I requested, justifying it by the amount I put into building the house. It's honestly messy because I didn't cause this situation and I'm not at fault. Still, I need a place to live. 1/3 of the amount won't be enough for buying a flat. The back and forth between our lawyers continues. She's offering a small amount because she wants to keep the house, but I found out she might be forced to sell it. Honestly, that's what she should have done from the beginning. It'll be tough for her to manage the mortgage payments and pay me as well. We'll see how it all pans out. Regarding child support, she's asking for way more than reasonable, and we still need to come to an agreement on that. Additionally, she insists I should be the one picking up the kids from the small town and driving them back at the end of the weekend. In my opinion, it should be the other way around. She should be dropping them off and I should be driving them back. She's the one responsible for all of this, but at the same time, she's ready to argue about the divorce terms. It's frustrating, to say the least. My wife attempt. Ted tried to convince me that she was filled with remorse and regret for her actions. She insisted that she had ended her affair, sought spiritual guidance, confessed all the details to me, and left everything in God's hands. Despite her efforts, I couldn't help but laugh and express that I didn't care about her feelings. I pointed out that she should be confessing to me, not a priest. I offered her the opportunity to be honest about the extent of her involvement with her affair partner, but she continued to deny any further indiscretions. During a discussion about a party she had attended with her work friends in November, I questioned her decision to rent an Airbnb instead of staying with a friend. She appeared shocked and asked me why I was subjecting myself to such torture. I explained that her continued dishonesty indicated a lack of genuine remorse on her part. 2 months after I ended the relationship, it became clear that she was still not being truthful. I emphasized that to me, emotional intimacy shared over video chat was just as significant as physical closeness, which I knew she had experienced with her affair partner. She struggled to recall how many times they had been intimate, and I confronted her about her intentions for us moving forward. Find out how she would start a conversation with me, and then lie in the very next moment. I asked her if she was aware that I would be checking her phone every day and what she thought about that. She snapped back, saying, "That's not trust, that's just treating me like garbage." Right at that moment, our son interrupted, and the conversation was wrapping up. I added, "Don't forget, it's not just me you cheated on, but also our 2 beloved boys." It devastated her, and she started yelling that I better not say anything like that again in front of our kids. It's ironic, you know. Her sister spilled the beans on how my wife puts on a show of suffering and crying every day because of this mess. She's a real two-faced person, acting all sad in front of the family but still lying to my face. She had the nerve to say that she could be with the affair partner if she wanted and her family wouldn't do a thing about it, as if I should be grateful that she ended it with him, and now she's in control of not being with him. I mean, after thorough discussions with our legal representatives, we have reached an agreement, and the divorce will be finalized soon. She will take possession of the unfinished house, and the mortgage will be solely her responsibility. It's important to note that the house is intended for the children, and I want to ensure that there are no accusations of me selling it out of spite for her infidelity in the future. Additionally, I do not wish to reside in her smaller hometown, which is an hour away from the capital city where I currently live. I will be reimbursed for my investment in the house, which is a substantial amount. The agreed-upon child support is fair, and we have arranged for her to bring the children to my residence in the capital city every other weekend, with me driving them back afterward. However, the prospect of only seeing my children on weekends is emotionally challenging for me. The thought of my own and 3-year-old boys growing up without a father due to their mother's actions is deeply distressing. I wish I could spend more time with. I might need to start driving there in the middle of the week, or find another way to make it work and survive. As for her, she keeps reaching out, saying she still loves me and wishes she could undo the past. She claims to be suffering every day because of what she's done. She even softened to the point where she told me she doesn't mind if I check her phone, and it wouldn't make her feel bad anymore. She apologized to my parents and seemed genuinely remorseful. She's willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. Now, you won't believe what I found out about her affair partner. According to our mutual friends, the guy actually dumped her. Can you believe it? Apparently, he has a whole family with a kid in Brussels and didn't want to risk getting caught up in this messy situation. Turns out it was all just a game for him, and he played my wife like a fiddle. I'm moving on with my life, and I won't let her toxic behavior drag me down. The divorce is now inevitable, and there's no turning back. I am relieved to say goodbye to the cheating partner. I have more important things to concentrate on and a promising future awaiting me. I choose to move forward without dwelling on the chaos she caused. It's a new beginning, and I am eager to welcome it wholeheartedly.